guys, how's it going? Today in this video we are going to be talking about exhaust setups on Miatas. This is experience I've had with my NC Miata, but this kind of goes for all cars, especially Miatas. So it's a pretty basic concept. You just have to kind of think of it as in three pieces. You have your header, which is your manifold coming off of the engine. If it has a cat or if it does not have a cat. NAs and NBs do not have cats in the actual manifolds unless it's like a California car, or if it's some European, or I'm not sure exactly if some Japanese cars had that, but I'm sure some did. But you have your manifold off the motor, you have your mid-pipe, which for the mid-pipe you can have a secondary cat, and you can also have a series of resonators. You can either have one resonator, or sometimes I've even seen two. It's a little more rare to see two, but normally see one. And then you have the muffler on the car. So obviously if you have open headers, not open headers as in no mid-pipe connected, but open headers as in no cat in the headers, you're going to make a little bit more power. There's going to be more airflow, and obviously you're going to get some more noise. And depending on how big the diameter of the actual tubing is of the headers will change the sound of the car. So that plays in a big factor, obviously. For a lot of people that still have emissions on their car, I'm lucky. I'm in a county where I don't have to worry about that. So I get to do whatever I want, which is nice. But you're kind of limited at that point. So you have to at least keep one cat in your system. But you can run a secondary cat and kind of work around that. So if you do want to run like a high flow cat or something like that in your, either in your header or in your mid pipe, you may be able to get around that and kind of get through emissions and not have to worry about it. But we'll skip past that. So for your mid pipe, obviously you have the cat and resonator, so that's going to change a big volume of your noise. Resonators don't ever really take any power away or change exhaust flow at all. So resonators are always a good thing. They always help with unwanted drone that you don't want in the cabin, especially, and maybe even at cruising speeds. But a muffler can also help with that a lot. I've experimented with tons of different exhaust combinations, and I'm pretty happy with the one I have now. Depending on who you are, may say it's a little loud, but that's all to who owns the car and who's modifying it and who's daily driving it. So yeah, it's pretty much all your preference. But today I'm gonna show you guys some clips and give you what I think will help you guys the most, and then I'm gonna do another, I'm gonna explain to you guys right after and try to help you guys choose on your own what you think might suit best for you. So and if you have any other questions or any other recommendations for NA, NB, mufflers or exhaust systems, I have tons of buddies with other exhaust systems that I think sound great for daily driving but are also aggressive and fun. So yeah, just hit me up here on YouTube or just DM me on Instagram. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the clips and then see what you guys think about it. Okay, we are removing the stock header. It's a little rusty, as you can see. There's normally a heat shield over the actual headers themselves, and then there's another shield, like an engine bay heat shield. I removed both of those a long time ago. There's a few 10 millimeters that you have to take out. There's one right here, one right here. You're also going to want to remove the alternator. A lot of people just try to remove this little plastic covering that throws air into the alternator just to keep it cool. Some people will just remove that, but I'm actually just going to take the whole alternator out because it's going to be just a little bit easier. I'm going to have a little bit more room for my hands, and I'd rather just not try to shortcut it. So you're going to have to take the battery out. I went ahead and took the little bracket off and the battery cover. And then you just want to pull your battery up, and there's going to be about 310s under there. Might need something to pull these little clips out that hold the negative and the positive. Well, never mind. I think the positive one already came out. But, yeah, you need something just to pry that off of the plastic cover that goes around the battery. And then you're going to need either a 14 or either a 13, a 14, or a 15, depending on where you buy your tensioner, or if your tensioner is still the factory tensioner. It's mostly a 14 on stock cars. So if you haven't replaced it, you just need a 14 on a really long, like ratchet or something. So you can kind of just pry that off and pull the belt off. But I'm also going to probably loosen this ABS module here, just so I can have a little bit more wiggle room. You do have to remove these two 13s that hold this coolant hose that go all the way up front here to the reservoir. You're going to have to remove those two 13s so you can actually kind of pull it up and have room to pull the headers out and to put them in as well. And there's also a 10 on top of those 13s that mounts to the exact same bracket. Just a 10 right here that you want to undo so you can move this hose out of the way. And I'm also going to take this off as well, just to hopefully give us some more room. So when we start pulling it up, we won't have anything else catching. Alright, we're also going to be cleaning up the head a little bit too, just because there was some oil in the gasket. So I'm just going to try to wipe up some of this oil. You can actually see there's some oil on the bottom here, just at the bottom of here where the exhaust comes out. I'm not sure if that's because I'm burning oil or if it's just leaking from the valve cover, probably a little bit of both. But we're just going to clean it up anyway so the gasket mates nicely to this. What I might do as well, there's a little bit of dust and dirt over here. I might just go ahead and blow that off and kind of wipe it off just to kind of clean it up because it's a little bit harder to get to with the header there. So we're just going to do some extra work while it's a little easier to get to, just to kind of clean stuff up. So we're going to go ahead and blow this off real quick, and I'll wipe some of this stuff down as well. Alright, so right as I started installing the headers, my camera died. So it's pretty easy. You just kind of have to snake it in there. I recommend taking the little breather tube that goes onto the valve cover. I kind of recommend taking that off. If you kind of just twist it and pop it off, it will come off. That just kind of got in the way of the actual flange of the headers. So yeah, pretty easy to get in there. I mean, you have to wiggle it around some, but, you know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes of messing with it, and then it's in there. And then, you know, you have to go into the car and reinstall the actual studs. Do not install them before you go to put the header in, because it is a lot more difficult. I actually put them in first, and then it was really difficult, so then I had to pull them back out and then try it again. So yeah, I figured that little tip would help you guys out a little bit. So yeah, it goes right in, blah 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 blah. So now I'm going to show you guys what it sounds like once it's all installed, and you get to see a couple more clips of what it sounds like with some other exhaust setups. Alrighty, so that's a lot of information to take in, a lot of sounds. You can't really hear it in person either. I know online you can't really compare it to real life. It's definitely different. So I'm just going to kind of walk through what I think is the best for most people, and honestly what might be the most affordable option as well. So if you want to do an exhaust, if you want to go kind of the cheap route, you either can change your muffler or you can change your mid pipe. if you want to keep the stock header and the stock mid pipe and you want to just change the muffler, what I recommend is doing like an ISR muffler delete like I had. Those actually aren't very bad when you still have the stock mid pipe and stock header. They're actually not very aggressive, but they have a good tone. Same with Roadster Sports race single and their street single. Both of those sound great with the rest of the exhaust being all stock. So that would be a good affordable option. Or if you want to keep the stock muffler and you want to keep like the dual tip look, you can just change your mid pipe. Obviously, if you don't have emissions, of course. You can either do a straight mid pipe, no cat, no resonator, or you can honestly just get rid of a resonator, and you would probably be plenty happy with that, and it's a lot cheaper than you know, spending a whole lot of money on a muffler or something like that. Resonator you can just take to an exhaust shop and spend maybe $100 to $200 and get either a whole pipe welded or just get the resonator taken out. Some exhaust shops do not want to remove cats, so that's kind of an issue, but they'll definitely remove a resonator if you'd like them to. So yeah, that's kind of what I recommend if you kind of want to go budget wise. But you know, also if you're going, if you have a turbo setup, you're going to be pushing a lot more power. It's going to be a lot louder. I think the sound is going to be completely different too. That's the big thing. When you have naturally aspirated cars, especially 4-cylinders, they're not going to sound very good with a really, really loud exhaust, just because there's a lot of 4-cylinder rasp. So, you know, with a turbo car, you might want to run something a little quieter. So I think the Super Q would be really good, especially if you want to get more power. You want to run a really open mid pipe. So yeah, if you run more of a quiet muffler, I think you'd be happier with that. Alrighty guys, if you stayed this far through the video, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Helps me a lot. But I'm hoping this is helping you too. That's why I'm making the whole video. But as you saw with the stock header, it's obviously less aggressive. If you want to go for a really good budget setup, but you want some noise in the car, I suggest taking your car to an exhaust shop and getting either a resonator removed or getting a little bit louder of a muffler. So for example, on my first NC1 I owned, I had a stock header, I had a stock mid pipe, and I had the Goodwin Racing race single on the rear, and oh my gosh, I believe it was the perfect daily driver budget setup you can do. It is a single tip, so with the NCs you have a dual cutout on your little diffuser on the rear bumper, so it may look a little weird, but you can always cut it if you want, just kind of get over it. I'm a little OCD, so that's what I would have done personally. But yeah, I feel like that was a great budget setup, because I think the muffler, the race single was only 250 bucks. I think now they're only like 300 bucks. So that's still a great deal to not really have to change anything else to the car. And mid pipes are very expensive for honestly any car, but especially Miatas. But what I suggest, if you do want something a little bit more aggressive, but I guess would have a little bit more flow, you can take your car to an exhaust shop, get the resonators removed, or if you buy an aftermarket mid pipe, this depends if you have emissions or not. If you have an aftermarket mid pipe and you run no cat, no resonator, and you run kind of a beefy muffler, you would honestly have a pretty good sound. I've even heard a couple stock NC Miatas with their secondary cat removed and their resonator removed, and it honestly didn't sound bad. It wasn't annoying to drive around, but you also had enough flair there to enjoy it while you're driving it. It still feels like you're driving a sports car because you get a little bit more noise. But yeah, if you want to go to the cheap route, I definitely recommend just doing a little bit louder of a rear muffler on your car, or just going with a mid pipe, depending on whatever you can find, obviously, and whatever's cheapest. But if you want to go with a little bit more power, I would say probably a mid pipe. You'd be doing a little bit better, not really that much, but maybe a little bit better. want to do headers, that's a whole other, you know, type of thing you have to think about. So with the headers, you automatically get a lot louder, so you want to have a little bit more of a quieter resonator or a quieter muffler. So you can do kind of a straight piped mid pipe. So like, for example, that's what I have. I have the headers, the 2.0 headers on my car, and then I have the Mazda Speed mid pipe, which has the resonator removed, and then I have the Yonaka dual tip, which is a little bit louder than the Super Q, the Roadster Sport Super Q, and there's a couple other exhausts that I believe Goodwin Racing makes that are very similar to that Yonaka, so that would be a good option. But honestly, if you ran headers, a resonator in your mid pipe, or just a cat, depending if you have emissions, and you can get away with the one secondary cat, then you can run the headers a little bit louder of a mid pipe and a little bit quieter of a muffler. So then it's not annoying to daily drive. So that's what I would recommend. But if you just want to go balls to the wall, fully race car, you just max out every single one. You want the highest flow, you want the raspiest four-cylinder sound you can get. You kind of help that four-cylinder sound if the car was turboed, but I personally don't like turbos. They're just not as reliable, and too many heat issues, especially if you push the car really hard. If you're daily driving it, just kind of babying it around, that's a different story. But yeah, I just don't like them from a reliability standpoint. Power standpoint's obviously the best you can get, but reliability is just not there. So yeah, I can talk on and on about exhaust setups all day, but like I said, if you do have any questions or any recommendations, or if you need any recommendations from me, just message me on Instagram or message me here on YouTube and just ask away. I'm happy to help. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you took a little bit of this knowledge in. I know it was kind of a lot and it was kind of sporadic, but yeah, definitely go check out the Instagram if you haven't already, and I hope this video helped, and I'll see you guys in the next video.